What up? What up? What up? What up? Man, if you can see me, press 1. And if you can hear me, press 2. If you can see me, press 1. And if you can hear me, press 2. My name is Ken Billions. If you didn't know, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Heaven on Earth. Peace to you and yours wherever you at. Hopefully you are being appreciated and never tolerated. You are at the right place at the right time. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with me. And it's an honor and a pleasure to chop it up with you. This is the #1 home for personal development. This is a place where you come ordinary and you leave extraordinary. You come here one way and you leave another way. That's because we deal with abstract thought. And I just want to tell you, this is a safe space. If you are one of those thinkers that allow your mind to wander, this is a great conversation that I have for you today. This is Heaven on Earth, where we use personal development as a vehicle to get heaven now. In this ministry, we don't believe that you have to die to get heaven. All you have to do is be real, reflective, enlightened, accountable, and limitless. I got a promise for you that personal development is for everybody. Doesn't matter about your economic background. It doesn't matter about your dating preferences. It doesn't matter how your hair texture is or your skin tone is. Personal development is for everybody. That is my promise to you. Keep your babies close. And if you have someone in your life that's loving on you, please be patient with them, because there is no manual when it comes to this relationship thing. Everybody's kind of winging it a little bit. Give yourself grace for everything that happened in the past. Give yourself grace for everything going on now. And give yourself grace for everything that will happen. I have a conversation that needs to be had. I'm going to go a few places, and I hope the things that you hear, you can take and apply in your life. It's not just information. It's more transformation. I have a couple quotes that I want to say to you first. The greater the power, the more dangerous the abuse. The greater the power, the more dangerous the abuse. Edmund Burke. Power is given only to those who dare to lower themselves and pick it up. Only one thing matters. Power is given only to those who dare to lower themselves and pick it up. Only one thing matters. One thing, to be able to dare. That's Dostoevsky. The most common way people give up on their power is by thinking they don't have any at all. That's Alice Walker. Today's a conversation about power. What is it? And why is power something that nobody will turn down? People do all kinds of things for power. But what is the most powerful thing on this planet? Is it love? Is it family? Is it government? Is it religion? What is the most powerful thing on the planet? That is our conversation today. We're going to talk about power, how it works. What will people do to get it? Is everybody really, truly looking for power? Do you want power? What would power do in your relationship if you had a little more of it? Men want power. Women want power. Our children want to have more power. Governments want more power. Nations want more power. The church wants more power. It seems power is the greatest thing that an institution, an individual, a family, a nation can have. What is power? Today's conversation is the sad truth about the 48 laws of power. So my 48 laws, you see, it's all tore up, right? I first read the 48 Laws of Power when I was 18. I got the book. It was passed to me by somebody that was doing crime. See, the people that I knew that read the 48 Laws of Power when I was 18 were criminals. It was people in the street. That was many moons ago. And I seen that the book wind up going in different directions and people referencing the book. I seen women reading the book. I put women on the book. I seen people that never been in the streets with the book. I seen people that had a square background with the book. Again, when I first seen the book, when I first read the book, it was people in the trenches, right? It was about getting the one up on your competitor, right? Being able to use manipulation to take over somebody's block or their strip. Again, when I first read this, many moons ago, But if you have a copy of the 48 Laws, if you have read the 48 Laws of Power, you are not a civilian, right? If you have ever read the 48 Laws of Power, if you have a copy of the 48 Laws of Power, you're not a civilian. You're with the shit, right? You and a criminal are the same. You and that politician are the same. If you have read the 48 Laws of Power, you are the same as everybody else that read it, even if you don't have blood on your hands. And what makes you the same is that you have dabbled in something called dark psychology. If you deal with dark psychology, you are no longer a civilian. I don't care if you're a woman that has never been in streets. I don't care if you're a man that has never busted a gun. If you have a copy of this book, you are not innocent because you have dabbled in dark psychology. What is dark psychology? Dark psychology encompasses a range of concepts and strategies that individuals employ to exert control and influence over others. These methods are often rooted in manipulation, deception, and exploitation, with the ultimate goal of achieving personal gain or power. If anybody has this in their bookshelf, you are not a civilian. You are very much guilty, right? Because you have dabbled in something that people can't see. They don't know when the power is going on because we are focused on physical power. This is a different kind of power. And if you have ever read this, if you've ever cited Law 1, Law 2, you are not a civilian. You are not innocent because this is dark psychology. And anyone dealing in dark psychology, you have, let's just say you have blood on your hands, okay? Because if you're dealing in dark psychology, you're trying to get things. You're not trying to give things. You're trying to take something. You're trying to scale your positioning life. When you deal in dark psychology, it's not humanitarian, right? You are not Mother Teresa. If you deal in dark psychology, you are an opportunist. If you deal in dark psychology, you are trying to get an advantage over another man or another woman. No judgment, but let's be clear on something. You have some people that'll reference the book and then try to make themselves appear saintly. This is not about altruism, right? This is about how to figure out how to move a person out of the way so you can get a particular thing. This is about how to take something, how to get something, not to give something. But what runs the world, though? What runs the world? What runs the world? What do people think runs the world? What really runs the world? What do you think? Is it muscles that run the world? Ooh la la. There goes some eye candy for you ladies. Does muscles run the world? Is it this? Is it brawn? Is it physical strength? I mean, you know, in the gender dynamics, the man is the leader because he has physical strength, right? Because he can overpower the woman. Therefore, he is the leader because he can overpower the woman. I mean, this is what they say, right? The man is the leader because he has physical strength. And the woman should follow the man because she has less BMI. That's what they say. Does muscles run the world? Ooh, nice back, bro. He's in the gym, right? He may be aesthetically pleasing to women, cool. But does his muscles, is his muscles something that is a good indicator that he's fit for leadership? Should he run the world? Should he be in charge of a nation's wealth and military because he has muscles? Right? He is he has the BMI that would allow him to be the head of a relationship. He's a leader. He's a man. Should he run a government, though? I mean, if he can lead a woman, he can lead a government, right? Because that's all it takes is the physical strength, right? What runs the world? What is power? Is it this? Some would argue, yeah, this runs the world. This seems to settle all scores. This seems to change the tide of history. The gun has, I would argue, had more influence over the outcomes of people's lives than religion. Whoever's had the most gunpowder in the last couple hundred years seems to have the most land, seems to have the most money, seems to be the person calling the shots. Is the gun power? Is it muscles? Is it the gun? What's power? Is it this? Is this an indicator of what power is? I'm curious. Is this what power looks like? Because if this is what power looks like, why are people reading the 48 laws of power when this is the power? Curious. I am trying to identify what power is. Is it the knife? Is the knife powerful? Is it the muscles? I'm curious. Is it muscles? Is that what power is? Is it having a good back? Is it the gun? Is it these fighter jets? Is it the knife or all of the above? Or is it money? Now, money's very interesting though, right? Money's very interesting. Because money, it has no power at all. So how can this thing that's in the middle, this money that has no power, how can it make Robin Givens' no turn into a yes? Like if I'm sitting up there and I'm chopping it up with Robin and I'm like, hey, baby, you know what's good? And she's like, beat it, sucker. And she ain't giving me no play, right? But if I put the money on the table, her frown will turn upside down. her no would turn into yes. But how is that possible when the money is not physical? See, I'm talking about power. What's power? Those guys on the left, those military men, what funded the gun? This is about money, right? Money allows you to have a dope military, but money has no power. I mean, it doesn't walk by itself, right? It doesn't talk. It doesn't do anything. So how is it that that $100 bill can make Robin Givens' no turn into a yes? And how can it get me a military even though the money itself has no power? On the right side, you have these boys or these youngsters playing soccer, and everything is good in their childhood. And then as they transition and get older, now they have to compete with each other over what? Money. But money has no power. So how these close-knit friends, why would they be divided by something that has no power? Or look at this family right here on the left. The woman and the man is in love. But once no money is available, this man and this woman start arguing. There's a rift in the household. Right? The child is not laughing like it usually is, all because of money. But my question is, what is power? If money can make Robin Givens frown turn into a smile, and it can make her interested in me when she said, "Beat it, sucker," and it can buy me a military, people that will fight on my behalf. And this money can make these children that was once a close team, it can divide them. And the money can turn this happy family into a dysfunctional family. When the money is missing, then I answered the question that I'm asking. Power on this planet is not physical. The money has no power. So what would make Robin Givens say yes to me? What would break this family up? It's an energy, right? So power on this planet has nothing to do with muscles. It has nothing to do with guns. It has nothing to do with anything physical. True power on this planet comes from the unseen. This is why people run to read the 48 laws of power, because true power on this planet comes from the unseen. How do you explain a dollar bill, a $5 bill, a $100 bill? If I put it on the table, it won't move, but I can make people kill over it, because the essence of it and what we think it represents has nothing to do with the physical world. It's an energy going on somewhere else. That's why people read the 48 laws of power, because the number one power on this planet comes from the unseen. Manipulation comes from the unseen. Thought and words come from the unseen. So it is not the man that has the power over the gun. It is not the woman that has the best purse. It is not the woman that has the best shoe. It is not even having the best car. Who has the ability to access things from the unseen and bring it into the seen, and that can control others? Psychology has big guys working for little guys. Psychology, dark psychology, turns a woman's no into a yes. Dark psychology has mercenaries working for punks. Why do people read the 48 laws of power? What is it? This doesn't teach you how to fight. What is in this book that is so interesting? The ability to use your mind. The ability to use your mind is the most powerful thing on the planet. It is not the gun. Those who have the best mind control the men and the women that use the gun. Those that have the best mind have people fighting their wars. If you know how to use your mind, you can control any man and you can control any woman if you know how to use your words. The word is so powerful that it can move a woman from the East Coast to the West Coast. 48 laws, right? Very, very interesting book. And I haven't seen too many people ask, why do people read this? Because what is the actual power? Is it my muscles? No. Right? Is it me being handsome? No. Is it the car that I drive? Huh. If you know how to use mind, right, and outsmart other people, be clever, right, create strategy, you can dominate other human beings. It is not the nuclear weapon that dominates other humans. It is not cars, planes, trains, or automobiles. It is those who know how to use mind. The problem with the 48 laws of power is people never talk about the other side of the 48 laws of power, right? See, people oftentimes use the book and first of all, this was never for public consumption, right? It's never for public consumption because the stories in the book are about family members that offed each other for power. This was never supposed to be read to the masses because the people that are in the book have done treachery. The people that are in the book have poisoned their family members and their close associates just to get to the top. This was never for public consumption. But when you look at the author of the book, Robert Greene, not the most attractive man, pause, right? He was kind of a failure in his mid-30s. And he had an acting career, if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't going anywhere. And he came up with the 48 laws of power based on his research, right? And he is a guy that he's able now to be an advisor to powerful individuals that are much bigger than him, much faster than him, much stronger than him. But he has something different than them. He has mind. The woman that has mind does not have to submit to a man, or she can use submissiveness as a tactic to get something that the man has that she needs. She can use her mind for that. The man can be a small guy, come from humble beginnings, be a poor, come from the peasant class, and if he has the best mind, he can use that mind to scale his life and change his situation and live a life that you would never think a peasant could live. But the 48 laws of power has two sides. They never talk about the reversal. For example, the first chapter of the 48 laws of power, mind is very old, right? Had this many moons. When I got it when I was 18, I didn't quite understand what I was reading because I wasn't sure was I ready to fully go through with the things that I read in the book. See, you got to have a certain kind of stomach for this kind of stuff, right? All emotions has to be removed. No, I'm lying. You don't have to remove emotions. You just access dark ones because you can never remove your emotions, right? When I was 18 reading this, I wasn't quite sure was I ready to fully go through the things that I was reading in the book. The first chapter of the 48 Laws of Power reads as follows, and I'm sure you've heard people reference this. but they never tell you the reversal. Never outshine the master. Okay? Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. There's one problem with this. What happens if it don't work? What happens if you read the 48 laws of power and someone else catches on that you are playing these kind of games? Now remember, power is not physical. So you may be trying to do these laws on someone that is more built for dark psychology. Now, what happens when they catch on that you're doing these tactics? What do you do then? Where do you go from here? What happens when your dark psychology isn't working? Now, what's the reversal on never outshine the master? Because no one ever gets to that part. Let's go to the reversal. Reversal. You cannot worry about upsetting every person you come across, but you must be selectively cruel. If your superior is a falling star, there is nothing to fear from that for outshining him. Do not be merciful. Your master had no such scruples in his own cold-blooded climb to the top. Gauge his strength. If he is weak, discreetly hasten his downfall. Outdo, outcharm, outsmart him at key moments. If he is very weak and ready to fall, let nature take its course. Do not risk outshining a feeble superior. Yet you know yourself to be the more capable. Bide your time and be patient. It is the natural course of things that power eventually fades and weakens. Your master will fall someday, and if you play it right, you will outlive and someday outshine him. What happens when that don't work? What happens if the person that look like they're falling, right, and you go to outshine them? What happens if it doesn't work? What happens if the individual didn't all the way flip over their cards and you don't know what angle they're coming from? The other side of the 48 laws of power is it doesn't always work, right? And we're dealing with power here, and power is not physical. So if a person is falling off, you can't determine that by their car. You can't determine them falling off by their house. You can't determine them falling off by their clothes that they're wearing, because power is not physical. True power on the planet. The only way you could tell if your master is falling down is if they lose their mind. If you move your chess pieces based on how something looks, you're going to catch an L, right? You're going to catch an L. There were times in my personal life where maybe people thought I was falling off because I was driving a lesser grade car than they normally see in. So they thought I was falling off, but I wasn't. I just downgraded, right? But my money was coming up. There were times where people see me and I wasn't dressed as flashy as I normally did. And they made an assessment that I was falling off. They made a bad judgment, right? they thought that I was weak, and they thought they could come at me a certain kind of way because the car was different or my clothes are different. Or there are some people superficial enough to look at your social media following and say, well, you're not getting the likes that you used to get, or you don't have the people in your chat that you used to have. There's some people that will make a judgment on where you're at in your life based on a social media number, or how many shares you're getting, or the fact that no one is talking about you like they normally do, right? And then based on that, they'll make a move on you. But power, remember, is not physical. Power is the mind. So the person that you're making a judgment on, how do you know their mind is not sharp? How do you know they're not playing chess in their head? How do you know she has fallen off just because she doesn't wear a weave no more? How do you know she fell off? How do you know she fell off because she don't get her nails done like she used to? How do you know she fell off? Right? How do you know that that woman is not on her A game because she's natural? Right? How do you know? How do you know dude is not on his A game because he's not driving a foreign? How do you know? Right? And what we do is we look at image and grade the image as if the image is telling the true story, and it's not, because power on this planet comes from the unseen. The true power of the woman is in her mind, not her nails, not her face, not her body. I know men say, a woman, her beauty and her fertility, that is the most important thing. Is it though? In the grand scheme of things, is it? Right? It's not those. It's in her mind. Because after a while, her face will fade, her body will fade. But guess what she's getting? Experience and knowledge and wisdom, right? So the body might be not as valuable as it used to be, but the true value is inside of her, right? The true value of the man is not his beard, it's not his car, right? It's not muscles. The true value is in his mind, right? In his mind. The 48 Laws of Power is a mind book. It's a book about dark psychology. The reason why the book works is because other people don't have any power, because the power is mind. So when you're dealing with dark psychology, you're doing it on people that have not exercised their mind. They have not trained their mind for psychic defense. All of their power or value is in what they buy, right? The sad truth about the 48 Laws of Power, the sad truth is you don't actually have to read it. That's the sad truth. If you really want power, knowledge of self. If you study yourself, you study all things. If you look deep inside your own soul, you'll figure out every man and you'll figure out every woman, because every deviancy, every lie, every things that are wicked, every backwards thought, all human potential, all love is inside of you. Everything you see every human do, that behavior is also inside of you. You may not express it, you may not give it legs, but everything that exists in nature exists in you. So if you want to understand why the world is crazy, all you have to do is study yourself and think about times where you were the most crazy. If you want to understand undisciplined humans, all you have to do is study yourself at key moments when you was the most undisciplined. If you want to study a man's rage, right? If you're a woman, You don't understand men. If you want to study men as a woman, look within yourself because you have a man inside of you. No, I don't, Ken. Don't you have a father? Yes. So you mean two things became one, but the other side is not expressed at all? Two things made you. So you're made up of two. Those man, woman come together, make child. Physically, you look female. So where's the part of your father expressed? On the inside. Man, woman come together, make man. You're male on the outside. Where's your mother expressed? On the inside. We're always going to have a duality and a polarity represented at the same time. So if I want to study a woman, all I have to do is study myself because I have a mother. So my mother's aspects exist in me somewhere. The jealousy, the pettiness, right? It exists in me somewhere. So we talk a lot about feminine and masculine. Okay, I have to be feminine somewhere because I had a mother and I had a grandmother and she had a mother. So there is a woman somewhere in me. So I can look at a woman and say, she's very undisciplined. She's super petty. She doesn't have control over her emotions. But guess what? I also have rage, right? And I also can be jealous. If I want to look at a man, it doesn't matter the nationality of man. Everything that exists on the outside of me exists on the inside of me, right? So for women that are confused about the nature of a man, what are you confused about? That's inside of you too. Let nobody. Oh, the people that's telling you it's not in you, they read this. These men are the problem, are they? You're looking at your reflection. These women are the problem, are they? You're looking at your reflection. There is nothing that exists outside of us that did not first come from the inside. Remember, all power comes from the unseen and it is brought into the scene. The reason people read the 48 laws of power is because they think there's something on the outside of them that they need to get. If you want to tap into the devil, all you got to do is go inside. If you want to access the pits of hell, all you have to do is go inside of you. Where do you think it comes from? Right? Heaven comes from inside of man. Hell comes from inside of man. There is no deity outside of us that is creating heaven or hell. That is all projections from our own mind. You want heaven? Go in your mind. You want hell? Go in your mind. So when I was reading the 48 laws of power, I was noticing, I'm like, damn, I do some of this naturally. Right? The difference is based on your environment is going to determine your need for psychology. So if you were growing up in Europe where it was very competitive, French, Italian, the Germans, the English, the Spanish, all clashing for resources, and then you have feudalistic cultures, you needed to develop dark psychology, especially those that are coming out of an ice age when resources are scarce. However, if you live in an environment that is abundant when it comes to fruits and vegetables and your diet is clean, you don't eat blood, right? Your tribe is a peaceful tribe. There's no need for you to have dark psychology, right? So this is why people coming from Europe and more warlike what would be the word? People coming from uh, areas where people go to war often. When they were coming to more indigenous people, not saying that the indigenous people didn't fight wars, everybody had wars, but there was a difference though. The people that were coming out of Europe and coming from harsh environments, if they lose those wars, they starve to death. Those wars were about water. Those wars were about resources. But what happens when you're fighting wars, but even if you lose, you still have access to resources, right? You fight different. So when these people that are coming from a harsh environment, when they're engaging in warfare with people from a better environment, not only are they using muscle, but they're using psychology, right? There's no need for you to have dark psychology when all of your resources are intact. The 48 Laws of Power is a book based on people coming out of a feudalistic culture where there's a peasant class, where there's nobles and lords, where there's the divine right of kings, where you need trickery to outsmart the next man and outsmart the next woman, right? They're coming from a place where people didn't have private property, right? They're coming from a place where the king, they're coming from environments where the king ruled all, and it was his way or no way. So you needed to develop these dark psychology tactics in order to get ahead, in order to compete. But what happens when you're not from that environment? What happens when you're born in an environment where you could walk up to a tree and eat it? What happens when you're in an environment where the food is plentiful? What happens when you're in an environment where your people know no war? Not all, but there were some people like that, right? So the book was written for very tiny people. The sad truth about the 48 Laws of Power, it wasn't written for very big people. It was written for very tiny people, because tiny people, the only thing they have to use to survive is their mind. And if you're not tiny in the body, then you are tiny in your world. Your father didn't do much. Your mother didn't do much. Your granny didn't do much. So you come from the lower class of society, right? So your world is tiny. The 48 Laws of Power was written for tiny people. It wasn't written for people that already have power, because their culture, for people that already have power, the day-to-day, they don't need to read this. Their day-to-day shows them how to maintain, right? This is for people on the outside of living on the bottom of the social strata. Someone that's short in stature, someone that is short in social position. So you read this to try to get the one up on someone else. But here is the sad truth about the 48 Laws of Power. Even if you're small in height, even if you're small in your real world, your mind is big, though. Your mind is big. All of this information, all of the platforms, all of the podcasts are teaching you and me to go outward, to fix things on the outside of us. It's the man's problem. It's the woman's problem. It is a black man's problem. It is a white man's problem. It is the government. It's trans. It's Jews. It's all these different kind of people. You have people in our ears saying, that's why you're in a bad position. That's why your life looks messed up. Nobody's telling you or me to go inward, right? You do not have to read the 48 Laws of Power, because everything in this book, you were born with it. You was born with the devil already in you. You was born with God already in you. You was born with love and hate already in you. You was born with strategy already in you. You was born with deviancy already in you. You was born with altruism already in you. Now, how do you synthesize everything? That's a different story, right? To become, that's a different story. Man and woman, know thyself. If you know thyself, then you know you can be manipulative. If you know thyself, you know you can be evil. If you know thyself, you know you have fear. If you know thyself, sometimes you feel jealous, right? Know thyself, right? The sad truth about the 48 laws of power is you read it and you think that what I'm reading is not me. Example, law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Be wary of friends. They will always betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy, and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from your friends than from your enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Two things. None of us knew that. Think about your own life. Without ever hearing that, all your beef came from who? People you knew. Your fights came from who? People you knew. Sometimes it was your fault, sometimes it was their fault, right? What happened to the relationships when you were in the sandbox in elementary school? How did those people become your ops your junior year, your senior year, right? You've already experienced this already, right? Now, if you don't have any enemies, make them. Really? Okay. Well, let's see the reversal to that. What's the other side to that? Reversal. Although it is generally best not to mix work with friendship, there are times when a friend can be used to greater effect than an enemy. A man of power, for example, often has dirty work that has to be done. But for the sake of appearances, it is generally preferable to have other people do it for him. Friends often do this best, since their affection for him makes them willing to take chances. Also, if your plans go awry for some reason, you can use a friend as a convenient scapegoat. Be careful with this, right? This fall of the favorite was a trick when used by kings and sovereigns. Again, what environment are they from, right? A harsh environment, ice age environment. They would let their closest friend at the court take the fall for a mistake, since the public would not believe that they would deliberately sacrifice a friend for such a purpose. Of course, after you play that card, you have lost your friend forever. It is best then to reserve the scapegoat role for someone who is close to you, but not too close. That's why I said anyone who reads the 48 laws of power is not a civilian. I don't care how divine a person comes on this microphone and they talk. Once you know that they have this book in their library, they are not a civilian. Do not believe that they came from a divine source. Do not believe that they are here trying to do some work of some great deity. No, they want power. They want power. Because anything that tells you to use a good friend as a scapegoat for a fall, right? But that is the thinking of individuals that was in a harsh environment and they needed anything to get out of that environment. My point is, we all think certain thoughts. The difference with the 48 laws is the dark psychology in you. It tells you or it instructs you to bring it out and use it, which is fine. You can. But what happens when it doesn't work? Right? It is better to have knowledge of self. It is better to study thyself. And the power that you're looking for, you're going to get because the power on this planet comes from the unseen, right? If you study yourself, you will never be naive to how the world works because you're aware of yourself. So you know people lie because you have told lies to yourself. Many people started this year, January 1st, with a plan in mind about how their life was going to look. You promised certain things. You made a vision board and you made New Year's resolutions that this year was going to be different than the rest. You made that promise. You put it on the wood. You shared it on a timeline. You put it on your IG that this year was going to be different than the rest of the years. What happened? What happened between the first of the year and right now going into March? You lied to yourself, right? So you know other people also have the ability to lie to you. So to study yourself, you know every man. When you study yourself, you know every woman. Your deepest, darkest thoughts that you have never shared with other people. You see other people express those thoughts in real time in their behavior. Everything that you see is just a reflection of what's going on inside of you. Out of many, out of one come many. So all of this is nothing but a mirror to your own soul. It's nothing but a mirror to your own being, your own wiring. So when you read the 48 laws of power, only thing you're doing is taking a travel back into your own dark psychology. That's all it is. You don't need to read this book because there's the reason why I say that is because it is a book and examples of people that were willing to go very far. How far are you willing to go? Because there is no take backsies. Most people have not did the shadow work to read the 48 laws of power. That's why they don't read the reversals. They only talk about the laws. And that's irresponsible. Because what happens if it doesn't work? What is the plan B? What now? Right? You don't want to go in a direction where you lose yourself. And if you don't know what you're doing with the 48 laws of power, you will lose yourself. Because what it instructs you to do, right? What it instructs you to do is to risk your life. Because people is not out here playing games. So if you don't know what you're doing with this, you can potentially put you and yourself in harm's way. Also, for those that have this book and you use this on your peers or your children or your wifey or your hubby, you're not a civilian. See, it doesn't tell you to turn that switch off nowhere in the book. No one is off limits. If you have somebody that's close to you, you shouldn't be playing games with their mind. If you have children, you shouldn't be playing games with them. If you're married or whatever, you shouldn't be trying to get power from them or take something or to get little wins in a relationship off them. Because when you do that, right, and you can, but I'm going to instruct you not to, because when you do that, you activate the other side of you. Lucifer, the light bearer, is you. Satan, the devil, is you. The demon is you. When you channel things, when you access different energies, it doesn't come from anywhere else. It comes through you. Inside of you is a portal that has access to multiple dimensions. Take it or leave it, right? When you read the 48 laws of power, you are accessing you, but you are bringing it from, you exist on many different planes. And when you read the 48 laws of power, you are accessing yourself, characteristics about you from a different plane. And what you cannot close Pandora's box once you open it, right? So the devil, the shaitan, the Satan, the demon, the legion, it does not come from anywhere else per se. It comes through you. So when you read this book, you understand that you are accessing things that is just coming through you, and it shifts your brain. And if you're built to play that kind of game, have at it. But if you're not, it is better to keep it on the straight and narrow and take it from someone who read this when they were 18. And there would be situations where I would be worrying about smiling too much, or I would not be able to feel the moment. I wouldn't be able to relax. I wouldn't be able, or wasn't able to kick my feet up and just hang out and chill and be an individual, because I'm in my head thinking about how can I get something out of this situation. It's not a good evening unless I leave with more than what I came, or I can't have a conversation unless I figure out how to use an individual. That's what the 48 laws of power does. Listen, everybody that you see quote this is a user. Trust me. They are trying to use you, right? The book is about usury. You are using people. You're putting people in a debt, right? You're trying to get over on somebody. So you're kicking it with somebody that's supposed to be your friend, but they're in their head trying to figure out how to get the upper hand on you. You're in a relationship with somebody that's supposed to be your husband or your wife, and they're figuring out how to try to get the upper hand over you. Or you're with your children and you're doing psychological warfare on your babies. That's what this book does. But here's the flip side. If you think that, if you look at yourself like that, if you're that kind of woman and you're that kind of man, have at it. Just understand that just like there's a price for poverty, just like there's a price for not handling your business, if you accomplish your goal using the 48 laws of power, you're going to get everything that you want. You're going to get everything that your heart desires. Just know you have to give up something, though. That's what the book don't tell you. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? If you use the 48 laws in corporate America and use it out on the world, understand you're channeling and you're accessing different parts of you, the dark psychology, and different energies are coming through you. But understand you must give up something, right? When you read this book, you give up your childlike innocence. When you read the 48 laws of power, you give up being genuine. The people that you hear reference this book, why are they reading it? Right? And some would say, I just want to read it so no one does it on me. I feel you. That's what I thought. But you can't read it without becoming it. you're going to become it. You're going to become it, right? So you're waiting for someone to, or you're creating a defense from people doing it on you, right? But in order for you to create a defense for people doing it on you, you must become it itself. To catch the crook, you got to think like one. To catch the criminal, you have to become one. Right? What do they do? They go undercover. So they got to chill with the mob. They got to think like the mob, right? They have to take the mannerisms of the mob. So for you to block someone from doing the 48 laws of power on you, you have to become it. And there's no switch where you click on and off, where you're like, okay, I'm with my baby now. Nope, I'm not going to be on that. No. It don't work like that. Don't work like that. So I gave you my suggestion and my advice. So, hey, just do the inner work, and all the power that you want, you build the inside of you, and it's going to have an impact on your outside world, right? Get it that way. Don't take the path that I took, right? This book made me feel alone in crowded rooms of people. This book made me play him, not made me. Because I read this book so young, I played in my head when I should have been connecting with people. Because of this book, it was very hard to establish meaningful relationships because I'm playing games in my head of dark psychology. Because of this book, I was never sure who was genuine with me. And there was a childlike innocence and a naivety that I gave up, right? The explorer and the wanderer, the excitement that I had for being alive. When I began to read things like this, it dinged, it dented my imagination, right? It became way more literal and rational, right? Right? You understand? Because I read this book, a part of me is missing to this day at 40 years old. Something about me just ain't the same as it used to be, right? Because I read it many times, many times, right? But here's the flip, because I'm both. If you're a man or a woman that is like, F what you talking about, Ken, all right, cool. I'm going to tell you to go for it, right? Go for it. Go for corporate. Go for having the most followers. Spin, finesse, do it, right? Do it, right? But have a place in your mind where you're like, I'm going to go all the way there, but not past there. But if you are the individual that wants everything that the world has for you, cool. Don't try to be normal once you're going. You give that up. You give that up. Don't try to have normalcy, right? Be very unbalanced. Go all the way, because you can't do the shit in this book and then get to where you're going later and then try to spin the block and be like, okay, now I want to have a normal life. It doesn't work like that. You give up normal. You give up being a civilian. If you that guy and you that girl and you really think that you need to be at the top of the pyramid, go for it. Go for it. Design your relationships how you want. Do what you want. But the relationships you have ain't going to be normal. Don't try to have a regular marriage. Don't try to have regular kids and do regular things. Do not Do not become the 48 laws of power and then become apologetic later. Don't apologize. Go all the way. Go all the way. Right? Because you can't read this and have balance. It's not a balanced book. It's an all or nothing book. So if you are the man that's saying, yo, I came here, fortune favors the bold, I'm gonna tell you to go for it. Go ahead. If you the woman where you're like, I want career, I want this, or I want a powerful man, cool. There's something that comes with a powerful man. Or you want to scale corporate America, cool. There's something that comes with that, right? You might not have time to be a mom, cool. Or you're a powerful man, cool. You already know the rest, right? You already know the rest. So I'm down with both sides, right? For me personally, from somebody that went there, you might have better luck than me. You know what I'm saying? I went through some pretty dark places in getting the things I want. I got the things that I wanted, right? And there was a price. As long as you are willing to pay the price for whatever decision that you make, right? And when you do it, or you decide, just don't look back. Don't look back. Keep going forward, right? So, man, I got some super chats, man. I want to recognize that real quick. Oh, what's Baz? What's good? To the max, my beloved. I appreciate you. Long time no see. Long time no hear from. How's it going over on them clubhouse streets, man? I ain't been there in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I love to come back and chop it up and have a conversation with you. Appreciate the 20. Shy girl with the 10 piece. Man, a fan character with eyes open, blushing. Salute to you for the 10. You always come and show the boy love. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let me see. We got $4.99 back at it. Appreciate you, bruh. Appreciate you. Or sis, I'm not sure. No disrespect. Behind the video, but wanted to pay dues. Can't wait to see what you have in store for the rest of 2024. I got some dope shit popping. You'll just I'm glad that you're anticipating those dope things. I can't wait to share. Appreciate you for the $4.99. And that was it. But I'm gonna answer a comment. Ken, what if someone is naturally a loner, intuitive seeker of knowledge? Is there a certain kind of person that can digest this conversation? Sure. Yeah, it is. You're not bad or good if you digest this. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing. When you're reading the 48 Laws of Power, you're not bad or good. You're just not a civilian, right? You're just not a civilian. Anybody could digest it. It's just where you want to go with it. But the main thing, though, is everything that is in this book is inside of us already. It's just a lot of times we feel shame to express it. When you're listening to the stories in the 48 Laws of Power of people that went to get the power, those are people that express the thoughts. You know, when you are coming from poverty or you are black or brown or whatever identified today, it's all about humility. You got to be humble, right? And one of the things we have this this self-righteous thing, like white people or Asian or other people are a certain way, but not us. That's the ill thing about the 48 Laws of Power, right? A lot of black people read and be like, I'm already like this, right? So in the community or how we're raised, we're made to think that other people are strategic thinkers and other people have deviancy and other people have a dark side, but we do too. It's just hidden under the cool factor. But how do you explain a 50 Cent? How do you explain a Jay-Z? How do you explain people that come from that kind of environment to where they are now? You know what I'm saying? How do you explain a baby, right? And he's been in the business this long. How do you explain an Oprah? right? But one of the things we pretend and we try to, because I guess we're low on the money and the ownership, we try to act like we are the moral standard, right? And everybody else is wicked. And no, no, no. Whatever's in the white man is in the black man. Whatever's in the white woman is in the black woman. At the end of the day, same, same. The difference is they have expressed it, on a world stage and built statues of themselves all over and spread their religion and spread their tongue and their customs and their beauty standards and their trading practices and their entire culture through the whole world, right? If given the opportunity, a black man would do the same thing. If given the opportunity, a black woman would do the same thing. That's just the nature of man, right? We want power. Cool. What I'm saying, though, is the power that we think that we would get from money or status or having a bunch of soldiers. That power is already inside of us. Yo, the power to love, the power of choice, the power of choice, what's there's nothing more stronger than that, right? To power to decide, the power to express gratitude, the power to express concern, right? The power to feel what someone else is going through. That shit is nuclear. The power to look in the mirror and say, I want better for my life. Power to say, what, I'm different, I'm changing, I'm growing. The power to stop an addiction and create and find other drugs in productive things. The power to not be a hoe and go be a wife, or the power of to be a wife and then go be a hoe. The power choice, huh. The power to do more. That's stronger than guns. That's stronger than all those things because those things come from the inside and it goes out. Yo, I know people bread is funny. I know people are going through it. I know you probably having a rough time, right? But there is no power in this book that is more powerful than what's inside of you. There's no NBA trophy. There is no Super Bowl ring. There's no platinum record. I get it. You want to stunt. Yo, I already know. You know what I'm saying? You go to Miami, you feel like if you a dude, you like, oh my God, even if you're a woman, the competition is beautiful women, it's rich dudes, and you feel tiny. You go to LA and you feel tiny. You go to New York and you look at these skyscrapers and you feel tiny. Or you go to somebody's social media page and they got hella followers, hella likes, and you feel this big. And you start comparing and you think that somehow they're better than you. They're doing something that you're not doing. Sometimes it ain't that. Sometimes it ain't that. Sometimes it's just not your time. Other times people been grandfathered in, right? And other times that you have to know that the way that skyscraper is making you feel intimidated, you're just as big on the inside. I know it's not sexy. You know what I'm saying? You just as big on the inside. The homes and the cars. Everything you see in the physical world came out of somebody's mind. What is it that you see that you want that you don't think you have? That's the biggest trick ever. What do you think you're missing? Right? If you want it, you can have it. All you have to do is go inside. Right? There was a law that's not in this book. And it could be written in one law. Know thyself. You could throw away the rest of the book. It's not in this book. Know yourself, sis. Know yourself, bro. Knowledge of yourself is the only knowledge. Everything else is secondary, third, fourth, right? The 48 laws of power teaches you how to get. Knowledge itself teaches you how to be. If I can assist on your knowledge of self journey, I would love to. Go ahead and scan the QR code, put yourself on the calendar. You know what I'm saying? Holla at me, and I can be your accountability partner. You know what I'm saying? And we can further our relationship. Remember something. All power comes from the unseen into the seen. And real warfare is fought above the neck, right? If you got to do this, if you got to raise your hand, and oftentimes, sometimes if you have to raise your voice, we already lost, right? So much respect to you, even if you wish me the opposite. But I promise, though, sooner or later, we will all see who the prophet is.